No one noticed the dog at first. Everyone was too busy grieving. A gray sky hung low over Willow Creek Cemetery, draping the world in silence. The breeze barely moved. The pastor's voice wavered as he spoke of a life too short, his words nearly swallowed by the heavy stillness. 100 mourners stood motionless, eyes fixed on the small white coffin holding 6-year-old Emily Collins. Her father, Nathan, stood at its side like a man frozen in time. He hadn't cried yet. Not once. His expression hadn't changed since the ER doctor shook his head 3 days ago and said the word no parent should ever hear. And then a low growl, a sharp bark, a streak of fur crashing through the stunned crowd. A massive German shepherd bolted between mourners, ignoring every shout and command from the officers behind him. The dog moved with purpose, like he was following a scent only he could smell. People gasped, stepping back as he bounded toward the coffin, toward the very heart of their sorrow. "Bravo, Hill!" a Unifarian canine handler shouted, but Bravo didn't stop. With a graceful leap, he landed atop the coffin. His body went tense. His ears stood erect. His eyes locked on the father standing beside the box, then darted to the casket again. He didn't whimper. He didn't bark again. He just stood there, alert, focused, trembling slightly, like something in the air had changed. Nathan blinked in shock. "Get the dog off!" someone shouted. A few people moved forward. The canine handler ran up, leash in hand, breathless. But when he reached for the dog's collar, Bravo turned his head and bared his teeth at his own handler. The crowd froze. You could hear a pin drop. At the back of the service, standing near a weathered headstone, a man in a leather jacket and dark sunglasses slowly removed his shades. His face was half hidden behind a gray beard. He didn't flinch like the others. He just stared at the mom and muttered under his breath, "He's not grieving. That's not grief, that's an alert." 6 months earlier, Emily Collins was born a fighter. At 3, she survived the same car crash that killed her mother. Since then, she'd lived with a rare form of epilepsy that stole moments from her life like a thief in the night. No warning, no mercy. She sees the world differently. Her father would tell people, brushing his fingers over the scar that curved above her temple. But she still finds the good in it. Nathan Collins had been a respected small-town veterinarian in Bluefield, Virginia. But after his wife died, he shut down his practice and worked from home as a medical transcriptionist. He barely slept, living in fear of the next seizure. He carried rescue medication in every jacket pocket, memorized EMT response times, and had their hospital bag packed year-round. Emily, despite it all, was pure light. She talked to butterflies. She asked homeless men their names. She wore mismatched socks so her feet didn't get jealous. And she loved animals like they were part of her soul. That's what led to the day in late spring when Nathan and Emily went hiking along Brushy Ridge, a quiet trail her mother had adored. Emily picked wildflowers the whole way, saying Mom would like these ones the most. They stopped at a small overlook near a broken log. Emily froze, her little head tilted, listening. "Daddy, did you hear that?" He didn't, but she was already moving. But she was. She knelt beside the fallen log, her voice dropped to a hush. "It's okay. We won't hurt you." Nathan jogged to catch up, then stopped cold. Beneath the log, wedged into mud and roots, was a German shepherd puppy no older than 3 months. Its leg was twisted. Its body was trembling. Circular burns like cigarette scars marred its side. "Oh my God," Nathan whispered, the vet instincts firing back to life. "He's hurt bad," Emily said softly, her eyes glossy. "Like I was. We can't leave him." They wrapped the puppy in Nathan's flannel and drove 2 towns over to the Blue Ridge Animal Sanctuary. There, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, Nathan's old colleague, took over. X-rays confirmed fractures, severe dehydration, and deliberate abuse. Nathan paced. Emily wouldn't leave the puppy's side. "He knows I'm helping him," she set her hand on the dog's head. "His name's Bravo. It means brave. Actually, it's more of a Nathan stopped himself. Bravo it is." During the weeks that followed, Emily visited Bravo every day. She brought him peanut butter biscuits, sang to him, and sat by his crate reading stories. The sanctuary staff watched in awe as the dog healed faster than anyone expected. What stunned them most, though, was what happened on day 21. Emily, sitting cross-legged in the sun, suddenly went rigid. Her eyes rolled back. Before Nathan could move, Bravo launched himself out of his pen. He'd figured out the latch and pressed his body against Emily, barking 3 times in rapid succession. That seizure lasted under 60 seconds. Later, reviewing the security footage, Dr. Mitchell whispered, "The dog knew," before she seized. They started watching for patterns. Within a week, it was undeniable. Bravo could predict Emily's seizures sometimes a full minute before they happen. If stories like this inspire you, take a moment and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Heroes for Animals. Every week, we bring you real stories of animal loyalty, courage, and the unbreakable bonds they form with people like you. Nathan tried not to hope too much. Doctors told him seizure-alert dogs usually required years of training. And yet, here was Bravo, abused, abandoned, and now laying his life down for his little girl without ever being taught how. When the River County Canine Unit offered to formally train Bravo while letting him remain Emily's companion, Nathan hesitated until they offered to cover all vet bills and give a monthly stipend for Emily's care. Bravo took to the training like he'd been born for it. But while he rose through the ranks, Emily's condition turned. Seizures grew more violent. Recovery took longer. Her neurologist shook his head. She needs a pediatric epilepsy specialist. Dr. Montgomery at Children's Memorial. The problem, the hospital was out of network. One consult cost more than Nathan's monthly income. He started skipping meals to stretch his budget, refilled Bravo's prescriptions late, pushed off car repairs, still not enough. Daddy, Emily said one evening, tracing Bravo's badge with her tiny fingers, "He's not just a helper, he's my best friend." Nathan swallowed hard. He knew what was coming, he just didn't know how close it was. 3 days before the funeral. At the canine graduation ceremony, Emily stood proudly next to Bravo in her butterfly dress. She handed Officer Hale the custom-stitched vest. The crowd cheered, cameras flashed. Then her face changed. Nathan's heart dropped. She seized hard. Bravo barked, his special alert bark. Everything after that blurred. EMTs, hospital hallways, machines, a silver-haired ER doctor. "I'm sorry, Mr. Collins," he said, "it's over." Nathan collapsed in the chair beside her hospital bed. Bravo wouldn't leave. He sat beside her, body eyes on her face for hours, alerting once more, then falling silent. Back at the cemetery, Bravo still stood atop the white coffin, silent, steady, and shaking. At the edge of the crowd, Logan Reed pulled off his glasses and began moving forward. Slowly, deliberately. Something about this didn't feel right. Not even close. 3 days before the funeral, Emily Collins was the brightest light on a crisp spring morning. She wore her favorite dress, the one with the butterflies and a homemade hair clip her neighbor Mrs. Vaughn had helped her make. Her tiny hands clutched a special vest embroidered with the word Bravo and a shiny badge number stitched beneath. The police K-9 graduation ceremony wasn't just a big deal for Bravo, it was a celebration for Emily too. For months she'd attended Bravo's training with the River County Canine Unit. She watched him practice tracking, alerting, obedience. He aced every test. The handlers couldn't believe how naturally he took to the work. But Emily knew why. "He already knows what it means to be lost," she had said. "That's why he finds people so good." The field had folding chairs arranged neatly in rows. Kids ran around waving little flags. Officers milled around with their dogs, laughing, trading stories. There were cupcakes and lemonade stands. But Nathan Collins felt a knot in his stomach that wouldn't go away. Emily had seemed tired lately. She'd had 3 seizures in 1 week and her meds weren't working like before. He didn't tell anyone, but last night she'd asked, "What happens if I fall asleep and don't wake up?" He'd brushed her hair back and said, "Then I'll be right there with you." But her words haunted him. Still, she smiled that day, smiled big, especially when Officer Hale called her name. "Miss Emily Collins, would you please do the honors?" She stepped forward and gently handed over the vest. Officer Hale helped her place it on Bravo. The dog stood perfectly still, proud, like he understood the moment. And then it happened. Emily staggered. Her arms twitched. Her knees buckled. Bravo barked the bark, his alert for a major seizure. Nathan ran, so did Officer Hale. EMTs stationed nearby jumped into action. The seizure was long. Too long. Nathan administered the rescue medication, his hands trembling. Bravo pressed himself against her body, barking rhythmically until she finally stilled. They rushed her to River County General. That's when everything went wrong. Dr. Charles Peterson was the attending physician. Clean-cut, confident, clinical. Nathan had seen his type before, efficient but cold. "She's postictal," Nathan said. "She needs time. She usually comes back slowly." Dr. Peterson barely looked up from the chart. "We've administered 3 rounds of medication, no response. Minimal EEG activity. No pupil reaction. I'm afraid she's gone." Nathan stared at him. "No, she just needs more time." Peterson shook his head. "We've documented cessation of brain activity. I'm certifying time of death at 7:42 p.m. Bravo began whining. The alert whine. Nathan knew it well. She's not gone, he whispered. Look at him. He's never been wrong. Dr. Peterson frowned. With respect, Mr. Collins, that's a dog. We use machines in medicine, not guesswork. Bravo let out a low growl, soft but clear. They tried to remove him from the room. He refused. The only way he left was when Officer Hale picked him up like a crying child and carried him away. That night, Nathan sat in the hallway outside the morgue alone, feeling like he'd betrayed them both. 2 weeks before the funeral, the storm clouds had started to form. Emily's seizures had worsened. Her pediatric neurologist, Dr. Whitaker, recommended a specialist, Dr. Eliza Montgomery, at Children's Memorial in Richmond. She was the top epilepsy expert in the region. But the hospital wasn't in network. Their insurance wouldn't cover it. Nathan did the math. It didn't work. Her medications, his mortgage, utility bills, Bravo's training and food. He skipped meals. He pawned his tools. He even considered selling the house. But then came the offer. The police department had seen something special in Bravo, his natural talent, his sensitivity, his drive. They offered a rare arrangement, part-time K-9 duty with the department and part-time medical alert service with Emily. They'd cover his vet bills, training costs, and give Nathan a stipend. Nathan hesitated. What if she has a seizure and Bravo's out on duty? Chief Ramirez leaned forward. We'll adjust his shifts around her school hours. We'll prioritize her risk windows. And he'll always be there for her at night. She'll never be alone. Emily's eyes lit up when she heard the news. Does this mean Bravo gets a badge and a police vest? You bet, Officer Hale said, smiling. And you'll be there when he graduates. Nathan nodded, but something inside him still twisted. Bravo's beginning was pain. He was found by a hiker near the edge of Pine Hollow Trail, dumped like trash. 3 months old, ribs cracked, burn marks, one leg dislocated. Most dogs in that state lash out. But Bravo didn't growl, he didn't bite. He just looked up with wide, wounded eyes. Emily knelt next to him without hesitation. It's okay, I've been hurt too, you're not alone. From that moment, it was like something invisible connected them. He never barked at her, never turned away. He watched her like a guardian, slept by her door, whimpered before her seizures. Later, he began pawing at her dad, circling, barking in threes, and he was always right. No one taught him. He just knew. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, head of the Blue Ridge Animal Sanctuary, had seen it herself. That dog doesn't just protect her. He syncs with her. They scanned his bloodline. No champion ancestry, no service training, just heart and instinct. Back in the present, as the funeral approached, Nathan moved like a ghost. He didn't argue about the casket. He didn't protest the cemetery rules when they said no animals allowed. He just signed the papers, called the florist, asked Pastor Lucas to speak. He wrote a eulogy he couldn't read without shaking. 3 days before the service, he returned to the K-9 Center. Officer Hale met him at the gate. Bravo's not doing well, Hale admitted. He won't eat. He broke his training enclosure twice. I think he knows. Nathan walked through the facility until he found the dog lying in the corner facing the door. As soon as he saw, Nathan Bravo stood, then looked around for Emily. She's not here, Nathan said, his voice cracking. I'm sorry. Bravo whimpered and lay back down, placing his head between his paws. Still waiting, still hoping. Nathan placed a hand on his back. You were her miracle. You did everything right. Bravo didn't move. In the hours before the funeral, Nathan stood in his living room adjusting the tie Emily had once giggled at. He held her favorite stuffed rabbit in one hand and the sealed folder with her death certificate in the other. At 9:02 a.m., Officer Hale called. Something's happened, he said. You need to come see this. What is it? It's Bravo. He's not in his kennel. He broke out again. Nathan felt his blood run cold. Where is he? We're tracking him, but I think he's heading to the cemetery. By the time Nathan arrived at Willow Creek, Bravo was already there. He'd made his way through traffic, through locked gates, through dozens of mourners, and now there he was on the coffin, not moving, not crying, just alert. People whispered. Some gasped. A few phones came out recording. Pastor Lucas tried to continue the service, but the tension in the air was too heavy. Then Nathan heard a voice he hadn't heard in over a decade. Your dog's not grieving. He turned. The man in the leather jacket and sunglasses stepped forward, holding his hands up. He's trying to tell you something. Nathan squinted. There was something familiar in the man's face. I was a combat medic, the man said. In Iraq. Worked with dogs who could detect shallow heartbeats. Subtle breathing. Stuff monitors miss. "Who are you?" Nathan asked. The man hesitated, then pulled a chain from his neck dog tags. "Name's Logan Reed. I'm your wife's brother, Emily's uncle." Nathan blinked. "I know this sounds crazy," Logan said, eyes on Bravo. "But I've seen this behavior before. He's not acting like he did when she died. This is an alert. Something's not right." Nathan's world tilted. Was it possible? No, they said she was gone. They had a certificate, machines, doctors, right? But Bravo had never been wrong. Never. At first, no one moved. Bravo stood frozen on top of the small white casket, his body taut like a bowstring. He wasn't growling now. He wasn't barking. But his ears were forward and his chest was rising in shallow bursts. He was trembling not in fear, but in a state of focused alert that Officer Marcus Hale had only ever seen during real-time search and rescue missions. "This isn't a tantrum," Logan Reed said calmly, stepping closer to the center of the funeral. "This is how a trained dog alerts to life, not death." Nathan Collins stared at his late wife's estranged brother. 10 years had passed since they'd last spoken, but the intensity in Logan's eyes hadn't changed, nor had the gravel in his voice. But what caught Nathan's attention more than anything was Bravo still alerting, still fixated on the coffin. "Mr. Collins, please," the funeral director said gently but firmly. "We must ask you to remove the dog. We have procedures to follow." "He's not a dog right now." Nathan cut in, his voice sharp with something new, hope mixed with fear. "He's a medical responder, and he's saying my daughter might still be alive." There was a pause, long, heavy, and uncomfortable. People murmured. A few shifted their feet. Others whispered prayers. From the back of the gathering, Officer Hale stepped forward. "I've worked with Bravo since day one," he said. "I've never seen him false alert. Not once, not in training, not in field simulations. If he's up there giving the level 3 alert, it's not random." The funeral director's face flushed. "With all due respect, this is unprecedented. Opening a sealed casket in the middle of a service is illegal," Nathan asked. "You can call the cops." "Oh wait, they're already here." A ripple of nervous laughter swept through the crowd. Chief Ramirez, standing just behind the last row of chairs, slowly raised his hand. "We do have legal authority," he said. "If there's reason to believe a medical error occurred, we're obligated to act." "But she's been declared dead," the funeral director argued, sweating now. "And that declaration may have been wrong," Logan said, his voice cold. "You know how many soldiers I saw pronounced dead who were still breathing shallow under blast trauma machines don't catch everything, especially not when you're in a rush." Everyone turned to Nathan. "Your call," Ramirez said quietly. Nathan looked down at Bravo. The dog stared back, eyes full of urgency. Then he let out one bark. Just one. And that was all Nathan needed. "Open the casket," he said. The process took several minutes. 2 officers unlatched the custom-fitted seal. Another folded back the flower arrangement. The crowd stood in stunned silence, phones out, some live streaming. No one said a word. When the lid lifted, Emily lay beneath soft white satin, her arms tucked gently around her stuffed bunny. Her face was pale, but peaceful. Her dress, the one with the butterflies, looked untouched. For a heartbeat, everything seemed unchanged. And then Logan moved in. He didn't wait. As the lid propped open, he leaned over and pressed 2 fingers to Emily's neck. 1001, 1002, 1003. He looked up at Nathan. "I've got a pulse. It's faint, but it's there." Gasps erupted. Someone dropped a phone. A woman began sobbing. "She's breathing," Logan said. "Barely, but she's alive." Officer Hale radioed for immediate EMS backup while Chief Ramirez cleared the area. "Clear the aisle. Step back, we need medics through." Dr. Rachel Nguyen, a pediatrician attending the funeral as a family friend, sprinted from the crowd. She checked Emily's pupils, then her breathing pattern. "She's in a cataleptic state," she muttered. "Shallow pulse, suppressed breathing, probably misread as post-mortem stillness." "She was pronounced dead," the funeral director cried. She had a certificate signed by Dr. Peterson," Nathan growled. "The same doctor who wouldn't listen to me." Bravo jumped down from the casket and immediately pressed his body along Emily's side. His alert behavior shifted, less urgent now, more protective. He whined softly, licking her hand. "I knew it," Nathan whispered. He knew it all along. The ambulance arrived within 5 minutes, but the damage had already been done socially, emotionally, and legally. Dr. Nguyen rode with Emily in the back. Bravo was allowed in too, a rare exception given the extraordinary circumstances. He lay curled against her legs, watching every monitor, every movement. Nathan followed close behind in a squad car with Logan riding shotgun. "This isn't over," Logan said as they pulled away. Peterson made a call that could have cost her life. That's malpractice. Maybe worse. Nathan didn't answer. He couldn't. His hands were shaking too much. At River County General Hospital, the emergency entrance burst into action. Dr. Charles Peterson stood at the head of the ER unit, clearly unaware of what was unfolding. When the gurney rolled in with Emily still clinging to life, his face went pale. "Who authorized this?" he snapped. "This patient was declared deceased." "She's not deceased," Dr. Nguyen barked. "She was in a misdiagnosed cataleptic episode. Her vitals are suppressed, but present. You missed it." Peterson tried to intervene, but Chief Ramirez stepped between them. "You are to stand down, doctor, until further notice." Nathan approached, fists clenched. "You told me my daughter was gone. You didn't even give her an EEG scan before declaring death, did you?" Peterson said nothing. Bravo let out a warning growl. "Get him out of here," Peterson shouted. "He stays," Nathan said flatly. "He's the reason she's alive." Over the next several hours, a full pediatric team stabilized Emily. Tests confirmed she had been in a rare cataleptic seizure, a neurological freeze, where brain activity nearly halts and vital signs are nearly undetectable. Had Bravo not sounded the alert, she would have been buried alive. Dr. Nguyen documented everything. So did Dr. Eliza Montgomery, who had been following Emily's case remotely and flew in via medevac at Nathan's request. This, she said during a family consultation, is one of the rarest misdiagnoses I've ever seen. But what's more extraordinary is the dog. His detection response occurred nearly 4 minutes before her vitals began changing. "He saved her life," Nathan said again. The media caught wind fast. By morning, news vans lined the entrance of River County General. Headlines blared. "Police dog saves girl mistaken for dead. Vet's daughter found alive in casket. Thanks to Canine Hero. Funeral turns to rescue after dog alerts to life." Emily's story captured the hearts of millions. Bravo was hailed a hero, but beneath the public praise was a storm of consequences. An emergency investigation into Dr. Peterson was launched. Nathan hired an attorney. The hospital board issued a temporary suspension. Dr. Montgomery submitted an expert affidavit, and the River County Health Review Board opened a malpractice case. Back at home, Nathan stood in Emily's room untouched since the night of the ceremony. Her art was still pinned to the corkboard. Her favorite blanket was still rumpled on her bed. He knelt down next to Bravo, who hadn't left her side since her return to the pediatric ICU. "You knew," Nathan whispered, stroking his fur. "Before anyone else, you knew." Bravo rested his chin on Nathan's knee and closed his eyes. He didn't need praise. He never had. He just wanted his girl back. For the next 72 hours, Nathan Collins didn't leave the hospital. He slept in a stiff-backed visitor chair beside Emily's bed, holding her small, unmoving hand while machines hummed quietly around them. Tubes and sensors trailed from her arms and chest. The ventilator clicked and sighed like a sleeping giant. Her eyes remained closed, her little body still but not lifeless. Beside her, Bravo never moved. The hospital staff, nurses, physicians, custodians, started calling the dog the Sentinel. He barely blinked. Only his ears moved constantly, scanning the room for changes. When monitors beeped irregularly, he was up before any nurse could respond. He whined when her blood pressure dipped. He growled when an unfamiliar doctor walked in too fast. But mostly, he just stayed by her side, watching, waiting. Dr. Eliza Montgomery, the pediatric neurologist Nathan had been trying to see for months, became Emily's lead doctor the moment she arrived. She brought with her a quiet intensity and years of experience working with complex seizure disorders. Her presence felt like the first light cracking through an endless night. "She's alive," she told Nathan during their first consult. That in itself is a miracle. Most children in cataleptic states this deep don't come back. But Emily has strong brainstem function. Subcortical responses are active. Those are promising signs. "Is she brain damage?" Nathan asked, barely able to form the words. Montgomery exhaled. "We can't say yet. There's been trauma, but her age is on her side. The brain at 6 is resilient. What we're seeing now is a neurological shutdown, a protective freeze. She's in there. We just have to give her time." Nathan nodded slowly, squeezing Emily's hand. "Take all the time you need." Outside the ICU, the story exploded. The media dubbed it "The Girl Who Woke in Her Coffin." By the end of the first day, national networks picked it up. Bravo became a household name. Footage of him standing on Emily's casket aired on every major morning show. And with the exposure came scrutiny. Dr. Charles Peterson, the ER physician, who had declared Emily deceased, was placed on unpaid administrative leave. The hospital issued a public statement acknowledging a breakdown in standard procedures and launched a formal internal investigation. But it wasn't enough. Nathan received 3 calls in one day from different law firms offering pro bono legal services. Civil rights advocates chimed in, medical ethics boards released statements, and when a local investigative reporter dug into Peterson's past, a disturbing pattern emerged. 5 years earlier, a similar case involving a young boy with asthma had been dismissed prematurely under Peterson's care. The boy survived, but barely, and the family settled quietly out of court. Nathan's case wasn't just an isolated error, it was part of a pattern. The first time Nathan saw Logan Reed again after the funeral, they were both in the hospital cafeteria. Logan was sitting alone, hunched over a black coffee and a microwave sandwich. "I didn't know you were back," Nathan said quietly. "I wasn't," Logan replied. "But when I saw the obituary in the paper and realized it was Emily," he shook his head. "I couldn't stay away." Nathan sat across from him, studying the man who used to be his brother-in-law. Logan's hair had gone grayer, his face rougher, but the fire was still there. "You served 2 years for punching," Peterson, Nathan said. 1 year, 10 months, Logan corrected. "For assaulting a doctor who turned away a trailer park kid because his mom didn't have insurance. That boy has permanent lung damage now." Nathan nodded slowly. "They covered it up, didn't they?" Logan smirked. Peterson had friends. The hospital board at the time didn't want bad press. Silence fell between them. "Thank you," Nathan finally said. Logan looked up. "For what?" "For not staying away." Back in the ICU, Bravo let out a soft whine. Nathan, asleep in the chair, stirred. He looked up groggily. The machines were still beeping in rhythm. Nothing had changed. Except Emily's fingers. They twitched. Nathan froze, then leaned in. "Emily, sweetheart." "Nothing." Then again, her pinky moved. He hit the call button. A nurse rushed in. "She's responding," he shouted. Her hand moved. Within minutes, Dr. Montgomery and the neurology team arrived. They ran a series of basic tests. Emily's eyelids fluttered. Her lips moved. "She's entering a transition state," Montgomery said. "It's like her brain's trying to restart the engine." Nathan wept. Bravo licked Emily's arm. Nurses clapped softly in the hallway. By day 4, Emily opened her eyes. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. But her gaze locked onto Nathan, then slowly shifted to Bravo. A tear rolled down her cheek. "Hey, baby," Nathan whispered, kissing her forehead. "It's okay. You're safe. Bravo's here. We're all here." And in that moment, something inside the room shifted. Not just air or hope, but momentum. The fight wasn't over, but they weren't losing anymore. The following day, Nathan received a visit from the hospital's legal department. A tall man in a suit and polished shoes introduced himself as Gerald Whitman, legal counsel for River County General. "We'd like to discuss a potential settlement," he said bluntly. Nathan raised an eyebrow. "Already?" Whitman nodded. "There's significant interest in avoiding prolonged litigation. We're prepared to cover all past and future medical expenses related to this incident. In exchange, we'd request confidentiality and agreement not to pursue public legal action." Nathan sat back, arms folded. "So you want me to sign something that protects the hospital, but lets the doctor who nearly buried my daughter keep his license?" Whitman cleared his throat. "Disciplinary measures against Dr. Peterson are ongoing, but this agreement would help expedite financial relief." Nathan stood. "You can leave." "Mr. Collins." "I said leave. When my daughter can walk again, we'll talk. Until then, you can take your NDA and shove it." Whitman blinked, then gathered his briefcase and left without another word. Later that night, Nathan stood at the large hospital window watching the parking lot lights glow like distant stars. Logan joined him quietly. "You said something at the funeral," Nathan said, "about being a combat medic, about dogs that could detect breathing when machines couldn't." Logan nodded. "I didn't believe it then," Nathan continued. "But I do now. Bravo didn't just detect," he insisted. Logan glanced back toward Emily's room. "Animals know things we don't. They don't wait for data. They trust instinct." Nathan looked over. "What do you do now, Logan?" "I run a veterans outreach center outside Richmond. We help reintegrate guys with PTSD, addiction, depression. It's small, but it matters." "You ever think of working with dogs?" Logan smiled. "All the time. Why?" Nathan paused. "Because I've been thinking, there are other kids like Emily, other families who can't afford seizure alert dogs. What if we trained rescues like Bravo? Gave them a second chance and gave those kids a fighting shot. You want to start a program? I want to start a movement." Logan looked at him with something close to pride. "I'm in." By the end of the week, Emily was moved out of ICU. Her voice returned slowly, syllables at first, then small words. The first word she spoke clearly, "Bravo." And the dog, hearing his name, lifted his head and gently rested it on her chest. The first time Emily said a full sentence after waking up, the entire room went quiet. She was sitting propped up in her hospital bed, a therapy monkey clutched in her lap, and Bravo sprawled beside her like a big furry guardian. Nathan was adjusting her pillow, chatting softly about the weather outside, when she suddenly looked up and whispered, "Bravo didn't let me go." Nathan stopped cold. He turned to her, eyes wide. "What did you say, baby?" She repeated it clearer this time. "Bravo didn't let me go." The nurse who had been taking vitals dropped her pen. Dr. Montgomery, standing in the doorway, broke into the first genuine smile Nathan had seen on her. And Bravo thumped his tail against the bed frame like he knew exactly what she'd said. Speech therapy had only just begun, but Emily's first sentence felt like a declaration. She was back. Not fully, not yet, but her voice, her thoughts, her light. They were finding their way home. Dr. Montgomery ran a new series of neurological evaluations and EEG scans. The results far better than anticipated. "There's residual damage," she explained to Nathan. "Fine motor skills are still shaky. Memory has some gaps, but her core cognition and personality are intact. She's Emily, and she's fighting." That word fighting stuck with Nathan. Emily had always been a fighter, but so had Bravo, and now the whole world was watching their story unfold. It started with a clip posted on social media. A nurse had filmed Emily giggling as Bravo tried to gently return her stuffed monkey to her lap after it had fallen to the floor. The caption read, "6-year-old Emily declared dead and nearly buried smiles again, thanks to her hero dog Bravo." The video went viral within hours. By the end of the day, it had 10 million views. Celebrities shared it. Talk shows requested interviews. And within 72 hours, Nathan's inbox was overflowing. Brands offered sponsorships. Dog food companies wanted Bravo to be their new face. Morning shows begged to fly the family out for exclusive features. But Nathan said no to all of them. He wasn't interested in fame. He wasn't trying to sell dog biscuits. He was trying to build something real. The idea came from a late-night conversation with Logan, who had moved into a small apartment nearby to stay close to Emily during her recovery. They sat on folding chairs outside the hospital, watching the stars blink through gaps in the parking lot trees. "I think people want to help," Nathan said. "They don't just want to hear about Bravo, they want to believe there are more Bravos out there." "There are," Logan said. "They're sitting in kennels right now waiting for a second chance." Nathan looked over. "Then let's find them, and let's put them where they belong." Sentinel, the Bravo project, launched 6 weeks later. The name came from a word Emily used to describe Bravo after watching Guardians of the Galaxy reruns on her hospital tablet. "He's like a sentinel," she'd said. "He stands guard." The mission was simple but powerful. Rescue shelter dogs with high sensory potential. Train them as seizure alert and medical detection companions. Pair them with children living with epilepsy and neurological disorders, especially in underserved communities. Nathan and Logan worked around the clock. They brought Dr. Montgomery on as a medical advisor. Officer Hale joined the board. Even Chief Ramirez offered the police department's K-9 facilities on weekends for early-stage training. Donations poured in. A GoFundMe campaign started by a neighbor raised over $400,000 in 2 weeks. A local tech company offered to match it. And when Good Morning America finally convinced Nathan to do one segment, Emily sitting quietly in his lap, Bravo resting at their feet, the foundation's email server crashed from the traffic. But while the world applauded, consequences still loomed in the background. Dr. Charles Peterson's medical license was officially suspended by the state medical board pending full review. During hearings, former nurses and patients came forward. Stories long buried under fear of retaliation resurfaced: cases of rushed discharges, ignored symptoms, poor follow-up care. One former ER nurse testified that she'd once heard Peterson say, "If they don't have insurance, they don't get ICU time." Nathan attended one of the hearings, sitting quietly in the back with Logan beside him. "He looked smaller than I remember," Nathan said. Logan didn't look away. That's what guilt does. Shrinks a man until he can't face his own reflection. In the end, Peterson resigned before a ruling could be handed down. No apology, no press statement, just a quiet disappearance from public life. By the end of fall, Emily had regained almost full mobility. She still used a wheelchair when tired. Her speech was slightly slowed, but her laugh, loud, wild, unfiltered, was back. So was her love of sidewalk chalk peanut butter sandwiches and correcting Nathan's grammar when he forgot to say "may I" instead of "can I." Bravo remained her constant. He never went more than 10 feet from her side unless commanded. He continued to alert to minor seizure activity, sometimes before machines picked it up. And more than once, he caught what no device had. At night, he slept curled at the foot of her bed. "She's safest with him," Dr. Montgomery once said. "There's no medical equipment in the world that can do what Bravo does." One afternoon during her therapy session, Emily was asked to draw a picture of what bravery looked like. She handed her therapist a crayon drawing a girl in a hospital bed, a dog with his paws on the rail, and a little speech bubble that read, "Wake up, please." Underneath in wobbly letters, "He waited for me." That drawing became the official logo of Sentinel. It was printed on t-shirts, website banners, and the vest patches for every dog that graduated the program. At the one-year anniversary of Emily's rescue, as people still called it, the family hosted an outdoor gathering in Willow Creek Park. The mayor came. So did the governor. Emily gave a short speech thanking all the people who never gave up and ending with, "But mostly thank you to Bravo." He barked when nobody listened. Nathan introduced two new service dog teams, children with epilepsy, who had been paired with Sentinel-trained rescues. One of the boys, 7-year-old Carter from St. Louis, wore a vest that read Team Bravo. His dog, a gentle black lab named Marley, who had once been hours from euthanasia. The crowd cheered. Nathan looked out over the audience, veterans, parents, kids, nurses, dog trainers, and felt something deep in his chest shift. Not grief, not relief. Purpose. That night, back at home, Emily curled up on the couch under a fleece blanket. She held Bravo's face between her hands. "You saved me," she whispered. He just blinked at her eyes, warm tongue out, tail gently wagging. Nathan stood in the doorway, watching them, heart full. Logan walked up beside him. "You ever think," he said, "that the whole thing, the hike, the rescue, the seizure at graduation, even Peterson wasn't just chaos? Maybe it was something bigger trying to wake us all up." Nathan didn't answer right away. He just looked at Bravo, then nodded. "Yeah, I do now." Fall turned into winter, and Willow Creek blanketed itself in frost. The trees stood bare and quiet like guardians resting after a long battle. Inside the Collins house, warmth returned one small miracle at a time. Emily could now walk unaided most days, though she still used her wheelchair for longer outings. Her speech was nearly fluent again. She'd even gone back to her school part-time with Bravo, lying under her desk like a furry shadow. He wore his blue vest, proudly half canine, half guardian angel, with the name Bravo stitched across it in bold letters, and a patch that read, "Alert partner, do not distract." Nathan had installed extra ramps around the house, reorganized the kitchen, so Emily could reach her favorite cereal, and converted the spare room into a therapy nook. The entire place felt different, not bigger or fancier, but alive again. The hardest part wasn't the trauma. It was the quiet moments when Nathan would walk past her room and remember how close he'd come to losing her. Sometimes he'd wake up in the middle of the night just to peek in and see her breathing. And always Bravo would be there watching too. The day the governor called, Nathan thought it was a prank, but it wasn't. The state of Virginia was planning a special ceremony to honor Bravo Sentinel and the team behind what the governor's office called one of the most extraordinary examples of human-animal partnership in state history. "They want to give him the Medal of Valor," Nathan told Emily after the call, "and they want you to present it." Emily's eyes lit up. "Will there be cupcakes?" "Probably," Nathan smiled. "Then tell them yes." The ceremony was held in Richmond in early December, in the Capitol Rotunda, beneath stained glass and golden chandeliers. Media packed the rear gallery. Families from the Sentinel Project, many of whom had already received their own alert dogs, filled the first few rows. Emily wore a blue dress with snowflake embroidery. Bravo wore his polished vest and a custom metal collar with a small tag shaped like a paw. As she was wheeled up to the podium, cameras flashed. The crowd quieted, and Emily, in the same clear voice that once said nothing more than "Bravo didn't let me go," began. "This is my best friend. He's not a superhero. He's just a dog who never gave up on me even when other people did. I think everybody deserves someone who doesn't give up on them." The governor stepped forward and pinned the Gold Valor Medal onto Bravo's vest. The room erupted into applause. The dog blinked calmly, leaned into Emily, and licked her cheek just once. It became the photo that made national front pages the next morning. In the months that followed, Sentinel went from a state initiative to a national movement. A coalition of 5 nonprofits came together to expand the training of medical detection dogs using Bravo's protocol. Veterans with PTSD, children with epilepsy, adults with diabetes and heart conditions all began applying for matched companion dogs. The foundation Nathan and Logan started was awarded a national grant. They hired full-time trainers. Dr. Montgomery built out a medical advisory board. Officer Hale became director of K-9 training. And at the center of it all, Bravo and Emily. Not every day was perfect. Emily still had seizures. The fear never completely vanished. But with Bravo's constant vigilance, the danger felt manageable, not like an ambush, but a fight she was ready for. One day after a routine neurologist visit, Nathan caught Emily staring out the car window. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. She shrugged. "You ever think about what would have happened if Bravo hadn't barked at my funeral?" Nathan gripped the steering wheel a little tighter. "Every single day." Emily turned toward him. "I think it was Mom. I think she sent him." Nathan's throat tightened. Maybe she did. On the first anniversary of the day, Bravo saved Emily's life. For the second time, Nathan organized a small gathering at Willow Creek Cemetery. They placed a plaque near the tree line just outside the burial plot where Emily was nearly laid to rest. The plaque read, "To the ones who refuse to walk away, to the silent heroes who wait, who protect, and who believe." This spot nearly marked the end, but it became the beginning thanks to one brave heart that never gave up. People stood in silence. Emily placed a single blue flower on the grass. Bravo stood beside her, unmoving, watching. Not everyone understood the ritual, but those who had almost lost everything did. Back at home, Emily built a scrapbook titled "Things That Almost Didn't Happen." Page 1. A photo of her at age 6 holding a limp Bravo in her lap, taken the day they rescued him. Page 2. The hospital bracelet they cut off her wrist the day she woke up. Page 3. A printout of the Good Morning America segment where she says, "He waited. That's what love is." She pasted in drawings cards from classmates. Even a letter from another Sentinel family whose child's life was saved after their dog barked before a seizure. "Do you know what this book is, Dad?" she asked one afternoon. Nathan looked at the pages, then at her. "No, baby, what is it?" She smiled. "It's proof that love can bark louder than death." That night, Bravo didn't sleep at the foot of Emily's bed. Instead, he curled up on the bed beside her, like he used to when she was too weak to move. Nathan stood at the doorway again, watching in silence. He didn't interrupt. He just whispered, "Good boy." A year later, Bravo passed away peacefully at home in his sleep just 3 months after his 12th birthday. Emily had grown stronger, older, and wiser, but his loss cut deep. The house felt too quiet, too still. Even with other dogs in training from Sentinel, it was different. But when she returned to school after his passing, she wore a chain around her neck with a tag that read, "He waited, so I could live." And taped to the inside of her locker was a photo of Bravo on her coffin that moment that changed everything. She never let anyone forget it. 5 years later, a statue was unveiled in the National Veterinary Memorial Garden in Washington, D.C. It was a life-size bronze sculpture of Bravo standing tall, with his ears perked, alerting. At his feet was a small kneeling girl reaching out a hand Emily carved with gentle eyes and windblown hair. The inscription read, "The dog who refused to let go." He saw what no one else could. He waited when others gave up. And because of him, a heartbeat became a legacy. Hundreds gathered that day. Emily spoke again. This time she stood at the podium on her own 2 feet. "I'm here," she said, "because he wouldn't leave. Because he barked. Because he believed in me when machines didn't. So now I carry that bark forward for every child waiting for a dog to show up at just the right time." Some stories are too extraordinary to stay small. Some lives echo beyond the people who live them. And some dogs, they never stop protecting even long after they're gone. Thank you so much for following this incredible journey. What would you do if a dog like Bravo stood between you and giving up? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've ever had an animal change your life, we'd love to hear your story. See you in the next one, and never forget, sometimes the faintest heartbeat is all love needs to hold on.